it makes a lot of unwanted noise. So you chant it, and then you go through the translation, the purport, and then you do it as you wish. It's a temple room.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I just want to request everyone to say Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. You can unmute and say Hare Krishna one time, maybe. It's
everyone can unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So I will try to speak something, but which is beyond my qualification. We'll see. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 16, verse number 2. Sa uttarasya tanayam upaye ma iravitam janamajaya adim chaturas tasyam utpadayet sutan. Synonyms: Saha, he, uttarasya, of King Uttara, tanayam, daughter, upayeme, married. So actually, if you hear Prabhupada's lecture, this Prabhupada says it should be begotten and not married. Upayeme should be begotten. Iravatim, Iravati. Janma Jaya Adin, headed by Maharaj. Janma Jaya. Chaturaha, 4. Tasyam, in her. Utpadayet, begot. Sutan, sons. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. King Parikshit married the daughter of King Uttara and begot 4 sons, headed by Maharaj Janmajaya. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Uttara was the son of Virat and maternal uncle of Maharaj Parikshit. Iravati, being the daughter of Maharaj Uttara, was the cousin sister of Maharaj Parikshit. But cousin brothers and sisters were allowed to get married if they did not belong to the same Gotra or family. In the Vedic system of marriage, the importance of the Gotra or family was stressed. Arjun also married Subhadra, although she was his maternal cousin sister. Janmajaya, one of the Rajrishi kings and the famous son of Maharaj Parikshit. His mother's name was Iravati, or according to some, Madravati. Maharaj Janmajaya begot 2 sons of the name Gyat Anika and Shanku Karna. He celebrated various sacrifices in the Kurukshetra pilgrimage site, and he had 3 younger brothers named Shrutasena, Ugrasena, and Bhimsen too. He invaded Takshashila, Ajanta, and he decided to avenge the unlawful curse upon his great father, Maharaj Parikshit. He performed a great sacrifice called Sarpayagya to kill the race of serpents, including the Takshaka, which had bitten his father to death. On request from many influential demigods and sages, he had to change his decision to kill the race of snakes. But despite stopping the sacrifice, he satisfied everyone according to the sacrifice by rewarding them properly. In the ceremony, Mahamuni Vyasdev was also present, and he personally narrated the history of the Battle of Kurukshetra before the king. Later on, by the order of Vyasdev, his disciple Veshampayana narrated before the king the subject matter of Mahabharata. He was much affected by his great father's untimely death and was very anxious to see him again. And he expressed his desire before the great sage Vyasdev. Vyasdev also fulfilled his desire. His father was present before him, and he worshipped both his father and Vyasdev with great respect and pomp. Being fully satisfied, he most munificently gave charity to the Brahmanas present at the sacrifice. So many genealogy here, right? Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanjalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gope Esha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastute Napta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So I'll read the translation one more time. King Parikshit married the daughter of King Uttara and begot 4 sons headed by Maharaj Janmajaya. So we know that King Parikshit is the Prabhu. Should I share my screen because you're muted, Prabhu?
Yes, you may, please.
Okay, thank you. So King Parikshit is the son of Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu is the son of Arjun. So I'll show the genealogy table in a bit. I have a genealogy table for the whole Kuru dynasty. So the story is when the Pandavas were cursed they were not cursed. Then they lost the gambling match to the Kauravas. When Pandavas lost the gambling match, they were punished to go in exile in the forest for 12 years. And that included 1 year. After 12 years of exile, 1 year was incognito. Means that they should be hiding and they could not be recognized. So during that incognito period of 1 year, they had taken up different responsibilities in the kingdom of King Virat, right? So I think it's King Virat. So King Virat, in his kingdom, Arjun was teaching his daughter dancing. His daughter's name is what is the name of Uttara? King Virat had 2 children. Uttar is the name of the son, and Uttara is the name of the daughter. So Arjun was teaching dancing to Uttara. So Arjun was a great warrior, but he could teach dancing also. And later on, when the year had passed, it was revealed to King Virat that these people are indeed very esteemed and aristocrated Pandavas. So King Virat was very happy to learn that Pandavas were living in his kingdom. So he wanted to give the hand of Uttara to Arjun. But Arjun declined. Arjun said that I cannot marry her because she's my daughter. I was teaching her. I cannot marry my student. She's my daughter. But if you want to keep her in the family, then I have a grown-up son, Abhimanyu. He's 16 years old. How many of you have your 16 years old married? Anyone? But Arjun said, I have a grown-up son, Abhimanyu is 16 years old, and Uttara can be married to Abhimanyu. So that's how. And then Abhimanyu, soon after the marriage, Mahabharat war was declared. So Abhimanyu had to represent his father. So he went, the 16-year-old boy went to fight. He was a perfect Kshatriya. He went, but he never came back. He died. He died on the battlefield, right? And then after that, the Ashwathama, we read this in previous chapters. I think chapter 7, Ashwathama killed the 5 sons of Pandavas in their sleep, and he brought their heads to Duryodhan, whose back was broken, right? And Duryodhan was bedridden. So he thought that Duryodhan will be happy, but Duryodhan could recognize that these are not the heads of the Pandavas, but they are the heads of the sons of Pandavas. So he actually became very morose that you have now killed the entire dynasty. And in that moroseness, Duryodhan left his body. Then Ashwathama released a Brahmastra, which was counteracted by Arjun. But then later on, after Ashwathama was punished and he was released by Arjun on advice of Krishna, he released a second Brahmastra, which was meant to kill Parikshit Maharaj. So there comes Parikshit Maharaj again. Parikshit Maharaj in the form of embryo at that time in his mother's womb. So Uttara felt that she was going to have a miscarriage. So she ran to Krishna. Krishna, save me, save my child. So Krishna entered the womb and he actually nullified the effect of Brahmastra. And that is why his name is Parikshit. So Parikshit Maharaj saw Krishna inside, and that's why his name is Parikshit. Parikshit means curious. So he's always like curious after his birth. He's always asking that, are you the person that I saw inside my mother's womb? Are you that? Are you that? Are you that? So he's always so curious to find out that who was it? Where is that personality that I saw within my mother's womb? And then this is how Parikshit Maharaj, and then Parikshit Maharaj was definitely like enthroned by Yudhishthira Maharaj, as we learned in last chapter, on the departure of Lord Krishna from this world. All the Pandavas wanted to retire, headed by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So they chose Parikshit Maharaj as most suitable person to rule the kingdom. But then Parikshit Maharaj did one offense. Actually, it was not an offense. It was a plan by Krishna, that on his expedition to the forest, he felt thirsty, and then he went to the hermitage of a muni, of a sage, and the sage, he asked for water, but the sage did not reply, and he felt insulted, that why is this sage not replying? So he picked up the dead body of a snake and put it around his neck as a necklace, and then he left. So basically he insulted. Apparently, externally, it looks like that this is an insult, but internally, the reason was that Krishna wanted the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM to be spoken, and Krishna wanted Parikshit Maharaj to wind up his earthly duties. But externally, the arrangement looked like so obnoxious, right? That there's this snake, and the snake is put around the neck of a muni by a Vaishnava, but Krishna's activities are like that. So the son of that muni was notified that the father is insulted like that. So he was so powerful that he actually cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird, right? And then when he came to his father, whose meditation was now broken, he was crying. So when the muni asked, why are you crying? He said that, I cursed, you were insulted, so I cursed Maharaj Parikshit. So the Muni was sad, very sad, that because you have done that, now this will impart the entrance of Kali, and in Kali Yuga, the Brahminical class will be very downtrodden. The Brahminical class is not going to be trusted. It's not going to be trustworthy. You know, in India, if you see somebody who says I'm a Brahmin, so it's like people get suspicious, like really, like how much money do you need now, like that. And it's the effect of this pastime of this son of Muni cursing Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was also a very powerful Raja Rishi who could have counteracted the curse, but he chose not to counteract the curse. He accepted it as Krishna's arrangement. So that's where we are, that Parikshit Maharaj is now hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Parikshit Maharaj, after Parikshit Maharaj's departure, his son Janmajaya, he has 4 sons. So Janmajaya is now going to rule the kingdom. Okay, the first mention, I'm going to bring the verse to all of your attention so we can cover the points in the verse. And then the first thing is that Parikshit Maharaj was married to Uttara, right? So Uttara was his maternal cousin sister, because Uttara was, Parikshit Maharaj was married to Iravati, and Iravati is the son of Uttara. And Uttara was the son of, are you all confused now? Did I confuse everyone enough? Yes, please tell me.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody talks here. Okay, so I'll try to. Parikshit Maharaj was married to Iravati, or some people call that he was married to Madhavati. Somewhere it is written, right? So he was actually married to his cousin sister, who was the daughter of Iravati, was the daughter of Maharaj Uttara, and Parikshit Maharaj was the son of Uttara and Abhimanyu. So Prabhupada talks that even Arjun was married to Subhadra, and Subhadra is also cousin sister of Krishna, right? Krishna's mother is Kunti, and Kunti is Kunti and Vasudeva are brother and sister, and Subhadra is the daughter of Vasudeva. So Krishna, Arjun was married to Subhadra. So like that, we have many incidences in Srimad Bhagavatam where a cousin, brother and sister are married, and it's considered to be a very aristocratic thing to be married, provided they're not from same gotra. This is important. They should not be from same gotra or family lineage. So at the time of wedding, the Vedic wedding, in a Vedic priest, the bona fide priest is supposed to ask and double check up to 7 generations back from the groom's family and from the bride's family, and make sure that they're not from the same village or they're not from the same family, gotra. So it's important. And there is a medical importance too. Medical importance is that we don't want the same gene pool, so the genetic disorders may not come out. Okay, so it was an aristocratic marriage. And so that's one thing. First, I said the story of King Parikshit, then who is Virat, and then who is Iravati, who is Janmajaya. Over here, in the description of Janmajaya, he is mentioned as Raja Rishi. So a little bit about Raja Rishi. So Raja means king, like Maharaj, like king of the place, and most important person or leader. And Rishi means saintly. So he's not just the Raja or the king, but he's a saintly king. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in 4th chapter, 1st verse, also talks about Raja Rishi, right? Imam vivasvate yogam imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha mokshish. I'm forgetting the last line, but over there also Prabhupada mentions about Raja Rishi. So why are they called Raja Rishis? What's the importance of the word Raja Rishi? The importance that is described in the Shastras is that they are ruling the kingdom. Yes, they are ruling the kingdom outwardly, but actually they are following the instructions of the saintly personalities. The saintly personalities on the background, which you must have studied in the verse prior to this, called as Dvija Varya Sikshaya. Dvija means twice born, right? First birth by mother and father, and second birth by the spiritual master in the Vedic knowledge. So basically, the Rajas, the kings, were running on the instructions of these devotees or the extremely qualified first-class Brahmanas who were not salaried. They were not salaried. That okay, we are dependent on the king for the salary, and he's going to give us bonus and benefits and whatnot. No, they just wanted to give an advice, the first-class advice to the first-class king, so that everyone in the kingdom is happy, including the animals and plants, not just the human beings. Everybody, even the demigods ruling over the kingdom, must be happy. So they're so powerful. They were very powerful. There is a mention about the power of of the rishis or of the saintly people who were actually directing, it's like, Raja is a front face. This king is a front face, but on the background, his script of how to rule is written by these rishis. And if the king doesn't follow the script, if the king doesn't do what the saintly people or Brahmanas, first-class Brahmanas are telling him to do, then these rishis, these Brahmanas have the power to remove the king. You're not doing it properly, you're going to get out of this kingdom. And there is an example of King Vena, right? In 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear about the genealogy of chapter 13 and chapter 14, I think. We hear about the genealogy of Dhruva Maharaj. So King Vena was a very demoniac king. Even though he belonged to Dhruva Maharaj's genealogy, his father was King Anga. So King Vena was causing a lot of chaos in his kingdom. He had stopped all kinds of sacrificial arenas, all kinds of charitable dispositions, and he had declared himself to be the supreme. So the Brahmanas on the background, who are actually supposed to give a script to King Vena to rule, gave him multiple warnings that, you're not doing it properly. You got to rule according to the Vedic injunctions. The ruling is not going proper. Check out, check out, check out. But then the king Vena didn't hear. So ultimately what happened, the rishis or the brahmanas killed him. They killed him. Right? And we also hear the pastime of Parashar Muni. Parashar Muni killed all the Kshatriyas, I think 21 times. 21 times he killed all the Kshatriyas just because they were not following the Vedic injunctions. So these rishis are very, very powerful, and anyone who is following, the king who follows their injunctions is termed as Raja Rishi. So this is the importance of this. And in this paragraph, we hear that Janmajaya, the king Janmajaya, conducted a sacrifice which is called Sarpayagya, means a sacrificial arena to kill all the races of serpents, including Takshaka, right? Including that because he was so hurt by the untimely death and unnatural death of his father that he actually wanted to kill the entire dynasty of the serpents everywhere, not just Earth, but upper planetary system, lower planetary system, everywhere, wherever there are serpents, he wanted to just kill. So the sacrificial fire was so strong that the serpents of entire creation were attracted and they were just dying in the fire. They were just dying. Maharaj Dhruva Maharaj also did the same thing, right? When his stepbrother was killed, when his stepbrother was on the forest hunting, he was killed by one yaksha, right? But then Dhruva Maharaj got so angry that he actually wanted to kill the dynasty of the entire yakshas. Like Kshatriyas are like that, when their anger is incited for some unlawful thing, then they have to. It's like they give protection to their dependents or to their family or anyone in their kingdom, that they cannot be killed like that. So there you go. There Maharaj Janmajaya was going to kill every single serpent in the entire creation of this universe. Every single. So he was actually doing a big sacrifice. But then many influential demigods and sages told him that this is not fair. This is not a fair game. One serpent killed your father, but then you're punishing the entire dynasty. So they actually convinced him to stop the sacrifice. The sacrifice was stopped. It was not culminated, but Maharaj Janmajaya was advised by the rishis to actually still go ahead and reward or give the charitable disposition to all the worthy personalities present in the sacrifice. And then we hear that he heard the battle of Kurukshetra or Bhagavad Gita, instructions of Bhagavad Gita, battle of Kurukshetra from Mahamuni Vyasdev himself. And then from his disciple, he heard the entire subject matter of Mahabharata, because Mahabharata is an important epic scripture which teaches how to rule, right? How to rule in this world. There are a lot of politics and a lot of spirituality and a lot of family drama. Everything is there. And then ultimately he expressed his desire to Mahamuni Vyasdev that I miss my father. I want to see him. So Vyasdev brought forth his father, and then King Janmajaya was able to worship his father and Vyasdev with great respect and pomp. But at this point, I have a question. So this, we are talking about the genealogy of Parikshit Maharaj, right? Who is Parikshit Maharaj? Who is his mother? Who is his wife? Who is his father? Who are his sons? So Krishna, this is an apparent contradiction. It's apparent. It's not actually contradictory, but it is apparent. It looks like contradictory. So my question is going to be like that. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we are not the body, we are the soul. So I encourage you to participate, and no answer is the wrong answer. But so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we are not the body, we are the soul, right? We all know this, right? So if we are not the body, we are the soul, then what makes Srimad Bhagavatam be full of these family genealogies? Like it's full. In first canto, we are hearing this, and then we also hear about the genealogy. The entire chapter, fourth canto, chapter 13 is full, descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, completely full of that. 10th canto is filled with Krishna's genealogy. But Krishna himself said that we are not the body, we are the soul. So what makes this? What makes this what makes this Vyasdev to speak about the genealogy. Yes. Anybody would like to express?
Well, I'm not sure, but since you said speculation is allowed, I want to speculate. And my speculation for the reason is that even though we are spirit beings, but this material world is also part of God's kingdom, and we cannot rule it out, especially when we are in here. So it's worth knowing the tree, the genealogy of our family line.
Okay, very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. I appreciate. Anybody else? Anybody else would like to? There are so many senior devotees sitting here. I don't know if Hari Chakra Prabhu is Hari Chakra Prabhu, our Hari Chakra Prabhu from Gita Nagri. Sadev Prabhu?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Krishna, I'm speaking. Please forgive me, Hari Chakra Prabhu. This is Sadev Prabhu's mistake. He called me here.
No,
You are good. You are okay. You are okay. You are okay. I'm very attentive. I'm listening to you. Give us the message.
Thank you for your blessings. So Hari Chakra Prabhu is one of the senior devotees, like Sadev Prabhu in Gita Nagri. The thing is that actually the answer is in Bhagavad Gita itself. If you, I have put the references out here. If you read verse number, one common sense answer before we go to the scriptures, the common sense answer is that we want to be attached. If I want to be attached to Srimad Bhagavatam and the personalities inside that inside the Bhagavatam, then I need to know who they are. Right? Like I need to know who is Maharaj Parikshit, and by knowing Maharaj Parikshit means that people around him, his family, then my mind has more subject matter to be attached to his activities, his children, his, what is he doing, like that for every single thing, for every single personality that the genealogy is described. Also, genealogy of such great personalities also represents preservation of the culture, of the Vedic culture, right? If you read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna addresses Arjun so many times, son of Pritha, right? Son of Pritha, son of Pandu. So he's actually addressing by Arjun by his mother's. Pritha is Kunti's name, by his mother's, by his mother or by his father's hierarchy or the family. Because the reason is because the culture needs to be preserved. We need to be reminded that actually this is who we are really talking about. Okay, and then the Shastric reason is given in Bhagavad Gita itself. If you read this 2.47 verse and 9.30, I will bring about this. So in 9.30 verse, purport, this is a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, which is Duracharo bhajante mam ananya bhag. Sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Here, Prabhupada writes here. Okay, if somebody wants to read, then please go ahead. Otherwise, I'll be happy to read this. The one that I highlighted.
The word su duracharaha used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When an 11th entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life, and such activities are called conditional. Besides these, the 11th entity, who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord, as activities which are called transcendental.
And such activities performed in his constitutional position, they're technically called devotional service. So thank you so much for reading so nicely, Prabhu. So basically, we are conditioned, right? We are in this conditioned body. So we do have two kinds of activity. One is conditional and another is constitutional. So the entire reason behind Varnashram Institute is because I am conditioned to think that I am this body, that I am conditioned, and the byproducts of my body or the country that I live in, or the, or whatever it is actually me and mine. It is there. So rather than nullifying it or defying it or running away from it or hiding from it, the Shastras are saying, face it with the knowledge, with the weapon of knowledge, that you are conditioned. I am conditioned. So so we have two kinds of activities. One is that in my conditional life, what is my activity? And other is, what is my constitutional activity? Okay, theoretically, I understand I'm not the body, I'm the soul. It's a theory. Theoretically, I am understanding. But pertaining to that, if I want to make that theory a realization, a realized knowledge, then I have to do something about it. And that doing something about it is constitutional duty. Okay, so for conditional life, like we know that we have to do proper actions to protect the body, to abide by the, like, for example, if I'm driving on the road, and I cannot say that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. So all these rules of red light, yellow light, green light they don't regulate me, because I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Can we do that? And if a policeman comes and gives a ticket because I jumped a red light, then can I say the policeman that don't give me ticket because I'm not the body, I'm the soul? Like, does it even make sense? So we are not like fanaticists, right? We are okay, I have this responsibility, I have these rules of the society, I'm going to follow them perfectly, but I'm not going to be attached to it. There is no attachment there. I'm going to follow just for the sake, because I have this body. I have earned this kind of a body. Rather than magnifying my bodily concept that, oh, I'm from Europe, I'm from Africa, I'm from India, I'm from Australia, or I'm from Argentina, I'm from Vietnam, I'm from Hong Kong. Just have this concept that there is a real me within the body. Dehino asmen yatha dehe kamaram yavanam jara, right? There is a proprietor of the body that lives in the body. It sees the body going through these changes. So that is the real business, and that's constitutional, and that's what is uniting us today, right? Why are we here for each other? Because we are not talking about what is the currency exchange in this country, or what is the price of rice in wherever you are sitting or wherever I'm sitting. We're not talking about those things, but we were talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this constitutional position is so strong that it actually unites everybody across the globe, everybody up, everybody below, every living entity with each other. Okay, but do accept. So because we are conditioned, so this is one of the reasons that we need to understand the genealogy, because it gives us more attachment to different devotees in this parampara, and also makes me more confident. I feel more confident when I learn about these personalities, because our gotra in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada says, no matter what gotra we come from, but our gotra unanimously, if we have taken initiation in Prabhupada's movement, is Achyuta gotra from Krishna. It doesn't matter what it was before. I was looking up in Africa, there are some very famous families. Charles Ampofo, am I saying it right? Charles Ampofo.
Yeah.
And then Ernesto Taricon. So these families are very famous, right? In Africa. So when they are famous, then they have culture to preserve also. They cannot be just famous for eat, drink, and be merry. And they cannot be just famous for the wealth. They have to have some quality attached to that wealth. Okay, so that way our wealth is studying about the genealogy of the devotees of Krishna. Okay, I'll just sum up. So we discussed the story of Parikshit Maharaj, how Parikshit Maharaj was married to Uttara, who was his, I'm sorry, who Parikshit Maharaj was married to Iravati, who was his maternal cousin sister. And we also discussed the Gotra. It shouldn't be same, and this kind of aristocratic marriage is allowed. I know in India, southern India, they still do this marriage between the brother and cousin sister from maternal side. They still do, but the rest of the India, it's not done. And then we also discussed what is Raja Rishi, what makes that Raja or king a Raj Rishi, like the saintly king. And we also discussed the Sarpa Yagya. And we also discussed my question that I portrayed, that we are not the body, we are the soul, but we are studying so much about the family lineage here. Okay, I'm happy to take up any questions at this point. Prabhu, should I stop sharing my screen? Oh, I wanted to show this. I have this genealogy slide for the Kurus. If you want, I can send it to you and then you can share it if it's going to help.
Yes, please do.
So,
sure.
Thank you. So we have the Kuru with many descendants. One descendant was Shantanu, and then he had two wives, Ganga and Satyavati. From Satyavati, he married, he got this daughter, son Vichitra Virya, who married Ambika and Ambalika, from where the Kauravas and Pandavas come. And then it goes all the way. Ambalika married Pandu. Pandu had two wives, Kunti. Kunti had 4 sons. And then Arjun had 4 wives, and Arjun married Subhadra, who married Umanyu, who married Uttara, who gave birth to Parikshit Maharaj, who married Iravati, and who gave birth to the first son called Janamejya. So this is where our interest was today. Okay, and I just wanted to show this slide. We don't have to discuss it at all, but there are some themes in Bhagavad Gita where Varnashram Dharma is discussed. If you read this number 11, Varnashram Dharma is discussed in 1st chapter, 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter. This is the chapter number, and these are the verse number where it is discussed. And we studied this in Bhakti Shastri. So actually, this bodily concept of life, constitutional and conditional duties, they are discussed in many, many places in Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I want to show a video. Is it okay if I show a video?
Yes, please. Yes.
But I think you have to stop going live because they could be copyrighted and you might have issues with your YouTube. So you can record on your computer, but not the.
All right. Hold on then.
Yes, Prabhu.